Okay, let's get started. Don't worry, the video is going to get better in like 30 seconds. I got one pocket bag and I turned it so the right sides are facing the leg, and I pinned 1 3/8 of an inch below the waist. I do this for all of the legs of the pants, front and back. Right? See that? We're going to stitch down there. So stitch a pocket bag onto each leg, then turn it. Okay, we're going to stitch it onto each leg first. There. Then we're going to turn it to the right side of the pants and smoosh the seam allowance so it's under the pocket bag and stay stitched close to the seam allowance. We're stitching on the pocket bag and not the pants. Okay? This helps keep the pocket hidden on the inside of the pants when you're wearing it. So there we go. Yes, beautiful. Now, okay, let's do this. Right, now place the front leg over the back leg and pin the side seams all around the pocket bags. Do this for both legs. So pin from the waist, go around the pocket bag, right there. Don't worry, the video is gonna get better again soon. Then pin all the way down the side seam. Yes. In the pocket bag, and we are going to stitch this. When that is done, place the front and back piece over the other front and back piece and pin at the crotch. You are only stitching the crotch seam. So pin right here. 1. So make sure that you're pinning like the front back. Wait, what? You're pinning the front crotch and the back crunch. Crotch, not crunch. Back. Okay. Back, crotch together, front crotch. And this is it done. Now, open up the pants so the crotch seams are on top of each other as shown. So yeah, and now starting at the bottom of the crotch seam, pin and sew the inseam of each leg. So yeah, so I usually just start like the crotch and I go down one leg, and then I go back to the top and I go down the other leg. And this is it sewn. I used a serger for this bit because I was being lazy. Okay, and turn it inside out. I used 2-inch elastic and I put it around the widest part of my hips as tight as it could go. And that was my measurement for my elastic for the waist. It still has to fit past your bum to get on, but we have a drawstring to make it tighter at the waist, right? So pin the ends to sew. Then I got my 1-inch elastic and I put it on my ankle and made sure my foot could get through it. And that was my measurement for my elastic at the ankle, pin the ends to sew. I got my waistband and pinned both ends to sew. So one end, pin, other end, pin. Right, and then I got my ankle bands, fold them in half horizontally and pin the end to sew. Here I was making sure I could get past my ankle because it seemed tiny, but yeah, it was good. So now pin, and then I sewed everything. Here's it sewn. So I fold my ankle bands like so, and I put my elastic in the ankle band. Chuck it in between that little slot there. God, I do this so slow. Come on. Then I pinned the seam of the ankle band to the inseam of the pants leg, and then I pinned the other end of the ankle band to the side seam of the leg, and then I pin within that. You do not pin the elastic at all. You're only pinning the cloth, so you should have had enough seam allowance that elastic could just fit in there cool, and you can stitch without touching the elastic. Onto the waistband. Okay, I'm going to turn it so it's right side up on this seam right here, the half white, half black. This seam is going to be my center front seam for my waistband. I use my pattern and need to determine where the grommets will go based on the pattern, and I cut 2 tiny little holes at those points. Then I insert my grommets. I'll have the link to where I got my grommets in the description bar box thingamajig. I tried to use this pliers thing and I thought it would work like this. Well, I mean, it did work, you know, okay. But alas, I did it wrong. And then I realized I had it on the wrong side, so I flipped it and clunk! It worked! Okay, sees. I then put my elastic in the waistband and pinned it to the top part of the pants. I matched up the center front of the waistband to the center front of the pants, and I did the same thing, oh god, Beijing. I did the same thing to the center back. So I matched up the center front to the center front, then the center back to the center back, and then I pinned all around. Sew the waist and sew the 2 ankle bands. I sew them ready, but I'm showing you how to get that ruffled look that some elastic waistbands have. You pretty much just stretch your elastic and your waistband and stitch right on top of the elastic. It was a little hard to do this with the ankle band, so I just chucked out that part of my sewing machine, which also stretched the fabric and elastic, and I sewed it as shown. And this is how they look. And this is how the waistband looks. Get my drawstring, which is really just a long lace for a shoe, and I insert it through 1 grommet. Yes, get it. Insert it through 1 grommet and feed it all the way around through the other grommet. And this pants is done. On to the other pants. Stitch the front and the back side seams together with right sides facing. So we're just pinning it over each other. Pin, 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 and then we're going to stitch it. Now for the cargo pockets. I got the border, which is that long strip for the pocket, and I pinned it around the edges of the pocket bag. So this is the border. We're going to get the pocket bag, starting at the top. We're going to pin and go all the way around. Now we get our pocket flaps. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut 4 pocket flaps, not 2 like I stated in the last video. I put 2 together with right sides facing, and I pinned all around but left the top bit unpinned. I stitched down one side, and when I get 3/8 of an inch away from the bottom, right here, I stop and pivot the piece. Turn it and stitch it until I get 3/8 of an inch away from that edge. This is a pocket flap, by the way. and then I pivot again, turn, and I stitch. When that is done, I cut really close to the corner, snip, snip, and I turn it to the right side. Wait, snip, snip again, another snip, and then I turn it to the right side. I smoosh the corner out, smushy, smush, smush, smushy, smush, 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 and then I use a really sharp point, aka my nail, to poke the corner to make it as sharp as possible. I then edge stitch all the way around except for the top. This is how it should look. Okay, I do the same thing when attaching the border to the pocket bag. I stitch it down one side. Then when I get 3/8 of an inch away from the bottom, I stop, pivot the piece, turn it, and stitch until I get 3/8 away from that edge. Then I pivot and stitch. Actually, it looks like I did it 1/4 of an inch from the edge instead of 3/8, so maybe it's how I did my pattern. So okay, so that's 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. This is how it looks on the round side. I do 1 or 2 snips at the corner to smoothen it out, and then I turn it to the right side. So I'm snipping right here. Snip, snip. Then I turn it to the right side and I do an S/top stitch. Then I fold over the top about 1/2 of an inch and I top stitch that down. And this is how the pocket bag should look. Yes, should have more structure, but okay, now we get our pants. Draw the bag shape, which is the initial middle piece, you know, that little rectangular, right? We draw the bag shape on the pants and we fold under the border. I'm still drawing the bag shape. I'm talking entirely too quickly for this. Right, then let's get our little border there. What am I doing now? Snip off all your little excess threads. Yes, okay. Now, okay, we're gonna pin under the border or seam allowance and pin it to the markings. I said pin under. I meant we're gonna fold the border under our seam allowance, which I think for me was 1/4 of an inch, and we're gonna pin it to our markings. I should let you know that this fabric is the worst fabric to do this pants with, but as stated before, I had nothing else. I also implore that you add interfacing to the round side of the fabric about 1/2 of an inch wider all around on the bag shape. This gives the fabric structure and you won't end up with a mess like I got in the end. When that was done, I top stitched the upper part of the bag to the pants leg. Give a quick little stitch. My machine was not happy stitching 7 layers of fabric down, that's why it sounds like that. And this is how it looks. Remember to interface when using shake fabric. I put the top of the pocket flap, which is raw and stitch end, close to the top of the pocket bag as shown, and I stitched it down onto the pants leg. Then I flipped the flap down over where we just stitched and I top stitched it. So do that, flip it down, top stitch it. And this is how it looks. Now go through the motions that we did in the first pants. Put one leg over the other leg with right sides facing. Pin and sew the crotch. It's done. Now we're going to cut off all excess thread. Now onto the waistband and the ankle bands. Pin everything, pin the elastic, pin the bands. You sew those. What I'm doing right here is I'm making a little strip to add some detailing to the waist of the pants. You'll see it when it's done. Here I realized how truly awful the fabric was, and I was wondering how this waistband was even going to go over my bum because it literally had like barely any stretch. And here I messed up the grommet positions because I was too lazy to go and find the pattern to mark the grommets. So ignore the uneven top stitching on the waistband when you see it. Okay. Right here is where I mess up. The grommet should be between the two stitches. Like they're at center of the two stitches. I decided I wanted to add grommets to one of the pocket flaps, so that's what I'm doing right now, poking holes and adding the grommets. And after that, the pants are done. Yes, 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 yes.
outer space. So cover and duck, you're out of luck, we don't give up. Yeah, we're going up, next floor is us, you're riding with us.